Based on the massively popular kids' book Dogman, the feature adaptation is now in theaters. Is it Bow Wow or is it Woof? Welcome to Movie World Plus. I am Andy Signor, and yes, I'm here to review Dogman. Now, if you have kids, chances are you've come across a Dogman book, at least in the kids' book section or at a kid's house or your house. This is a massively popular book, mostly boys, I would say. It's definitely more, I mean, girls can too. I'm not trying to be unfair. I'm just saying it's not just, more farty type jokes and things like that. And look, the plot of this story is weird. Now, I've never actually read a Dogman. I've seen Dogman around. My kids, seen parts of it, the books when we're at the store, but I never really sat and actually read a full Dogman book. And I didn't even really know the premise that this movie is really about a cop who's not very bright and a dog who's definitely smarter, but apparently doesn't have good legs. They're chasing Petey the cat around the city, who's like, the big villain of the book and in this movie, voiced by Pete Davidson. And Petey's sort of fed up with Dogman and has decided, I'm going to finally, blow them up. And so he tricks Dogman to go to this thing. This is the beginning of the movie. I'm not really spoiling. This is the plot. This is like the origin quick before they get into the main, just the movie. He blows up the dog and the cop. And then it cuts to a hospital. I mean, like not in a graphic way, like in a kid cartoony kind of way. But then they end up going to the hospital and the nurse is like, well, we can't, the head of the cop is gone and the body of the dog is gone. So what do we do? I know, we'll combine them. And he becomes Dogman. So he's the head of a dog on the body of a cop. So now he's smart and can run fast, but he can't talk. But meanwhile, the other animals can talk. Dogman, for some reason, can't talk. Try not to make that make sense. It's very frustrating. But it gets even weirder, okay? This movie gets even weirder. I am going to start ruining the plot of this movie because, look, should you see this movie? Do you have kids? Do they like Dogman? Then you're probably seeing this movie. If you don't, I think you could skip this one. I don't think this is one the adults are going to be lining up to without their kids. And I wouldn't advise you do. There are far better kids movies that you could sign up or much better actual movies. The Substance, I stay tuned. I am going to try to review that soon. I did finally get to see it and wow. But I digress. Let me break down Dogman for those of you who aren't going to go see it. If you're an adult and you don't care. If you want to avoid spoilers, tune out. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe. But let me actually walk you through what happened. So Dogman has been blown up. His owner and the dog have been blown up, but they've managed to save the head of the dog and the body of the man, Frankenstein style. They put them together and voila, he's a super cop now. Super cop goes, and there was a moment in the beginning where the cop tells his dog, his best friend, if something ever happens to me, make sure you go take care of my girlfriend. I love her so. So Dogman is, missing his partner, his dad, if you will, and is all moping around. And he goes to check the girlfriend's house to make sure she's okay. And she's already moved out. She's moved on to the next dude. And Dogman now doesn't have a home or the girlfriend or her dad. And he's just kind of like, moo, moo. I'm watching this like, oh my God, this is intense. What is this? This will make a very good honest trailer. Well, I mean, it would have if I was there. Because it's such a weird premise. So it's depressing. This poor dog is now put on the body of a man and is now forced to be a cop. And it's already depressing has really nowhere to go. Then eventually finds his own little house, his dog house that he builds. But that doesn't stop Petey from now being frustrated. I made Dogman even worse now. Now he's a dog man and now he's smarter than he was before. Now what can I do? And so what does he decide to do? Well, he decides to try to clone himself. But by cloning himself, he instead creates a child, Petey Jr. Basically, he didn't read the instructions, and the instructions make it clear, your clone will have to take 18 years to develop. And it's kind of there are funny gags like that throughout, but it's now he's stuck with a child, and he doesn't want a child. So Petey is very upset, and Petey's a bad guy, voiced by Pete Davidson. And Petey's like, yeah, no, I don't want this kid, and basically gives the poor kid away. Puts him in a box, free kitty, and is just trying to get someone to take the kid. So who takes the kid? You guessed it, Dogman then becomes the foster parent of this child who was given, thrown away by, a bad parent. And so Dogman falls in love with little Petey, and they're all having fun, and turns the box to Sleepy Kitty, and they're getting along. Everything's taken care. But then guess what happens? Guess what happens? As the reports show, Dogman having fun with the cat, guess with the little son, guess who gets jealous? Petey. Now, of course, bad dad wants the kid back that he never really wanted the first time. And so they steal the kid from Dogman. It is so depressing and sad. So this poor dog who's blown up. Let's go through what the dog has gone through. He gets blown up. He loses his owner. He then gets his head placed on the body of his owner. He then loses his home and everything in it. He then loses his owner's girlfriend who was ready to split out as soon as they could. And then he's just depressed, like super depressed. But he's a super cop. He gets to fetch a ball and chase criminals. And then he finally stumbles upon a cute little kid that he can go out and play with, and they get along. And he's finally found his purpose. And they take the kid from him. And I'm sitting there watching this kids movie, and I'm like, what is this? What is this? This is weird and kind of horrible. And it's just massively depressing at times. But they still manage to put a lot of bright killers. I think for all the kids, it's going to completely goes over their head. It's sort of more silly. But the movie definitely embraces just some dark points throughout the movie where I felt bad, but not in a way where I would say the film's good, not in a surprisingly dramatic way where I'm oh my God, I was blown away by, I was more just taken back. It is the perfect movie for an honest trailer where you can just ridicule, what is, when you really step back and think about this plot, it's depressing. It's rough. Now I will say, by the end of the movie, they do figure out a way to sort of justify it. I guess I don't want to really ruin it, but now at this point the movie's kind of out and you probably don't care. So I'll wait. I'll go back to this close-up shot when you can unmute. So mute. Okay, here we go. At the end of the movie, Petey, of course, there's a bunch of other plot points. He creates a psychic fish that's only out to kill do-gooders, and then that realizes the fish is going to kill his kid, who he does grow accustomed to, finally, at a certain point. And you learn Petey had a bad dad. There's a lot of stuff in this. Petey's bad dad shows up and walks away and leaves him again. A lot of intense trauma to these characters in this kid's movie. But by the end, Petey takes the kid, and the kid, wants to be with his dad, Papa. And Dogman's sort of left alone and sad. But then Petey sort of, I don't know what happens, but Petey realizes his dad steals everything, and he's like, all right, fine, you know what, let's go see Dogman. And I guess they agree to some sort of shared custody at the very end. And everyone's excited. And so Dogman gets to have him whenever, while Petey goes and does his crimes. Dogman will babysit the baby, I guess. and the baby now has this clear villain of a dad who seemed good, but clearly is going to go back to villainy, while Dogman's watching, and they're both co-parenting a small cat child who can talk while the dog man can't talk. Try to make sense of it, you can. Plus then there's Elron, what's his name? Howery, who's this jealous cop who just wants the press, and Dogman gets all the press. It's a lot, guys. It is a lot. Way more than I expected in a movie about a dog man. But there you go. Did you see it with your kids? Do you agree with me? Did you catch all that crazy, weird stuff? Woo, my goodness. What an interesting one. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for all alerts, and smash the thumbs up as well. And yes, I want to get some more reviews out soon. Love Hurts is coming up. We're going to be reviewing that. And I did see The Substance. I just got to make time to tape that because, my goodness, that's another weird one. Woo! Stay tuned if you want to hear my thoughts on that and so much more. Thank you guys so much for watching Movie World Plus, where I talk movies.